All right, welcome back to Agent Investor, the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster. The only brand that has a connection to both agents and investors. I've been a real estate agent for 20 plus years. I've got a real estate brokerage with over 400 agents in it. And it wasn't until I combined the practice of being an agent and being an investor that I became financially free. When I talk to most agents, almost every agent that's ever worked for me, or almost every agent that I've ever talked to, wants to invest. The main reason that they don't invest, or at least what they say, is that they say that they don't have the money, they don't have the time. And that's why we've created what we call the agent investor model. The agent investor model helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster by allowing them to combine the two practices of being an agent and being an investor, and allowing them to invest in real estate even if they don't have a bunch of extra time and even if they have no money to start. How do I know? I follow this model myself. I started out as an agent without any money, with limited time, and I've become financially free by following what we call, again, the agent investor model. The agent investor model has three components to it for those of you who don't know. Step number one is to continue to sell real estate, but to focus your business a little bit more on seller leads and seller appointment generation. Step number two is to offer every seller that you meet with a cash offer. 20% of the time, they're going to take that cash offer, and you can either do the fix and flip on your own, or you can partner with us and we will split the profits with you 50-50. Step number three, which is the most important step, is to take the big chunks of income from those flips and invest it into long-term passive assets that pay you forever. For those of you who are interested in learning more about how to partner with us, make sure that you jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Like I always mention, the average profit that we split with agents is $80,000. The past few deals that we've done have actually been well over six figures. That's not the norm, but that's just what's happened in the past few weeks. So for those of you who are interested in learning how to partner with us on deals, make sure that you register at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. All right, so I talked about what the agent investor model is. Part of the agent investor model, that's a very important component, is to make sure that you start focusing your real estate sales business a little bit more on sellers. And that's why I've created this seller appointment generation series that I'm going to be talking about a variety of different ways for real estate agents to book and go on more seller appointments. If you are a real estate agent right now and you want more listings, you want more investing opportunities, and as of right now, you're going on less than one or two seller appointments per week, this series is for you. This series is going to go 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, depending on how many topics I end up covering. The objective of this series, ideally, is for you to listen to every one of these episodes, listen to every one of the ways that we generate seller appointments in our business, and for you to pick one or two to start with so that you can start getting one or two or three seller appointments per week. If you have one or two or three seller appointments per week, it will drastically change your business. For one, you're going to get more listings, you're going to make more money, you're going to have more leverage. We all know why we want listings. But in addition to getting listings, 20% of all the sellers that you meet with are going to be interested in taking a cash offer. Out of those 20%, if you partner with us, the average profit that you'll get, like I mentioned, is $40,000. If you do it on your own, of course, you'll get double that profit yourself. So with that being said, last week, I did the overview of what these next few weeks are going to be like. If you have not listened to the overview of what the seller appointment series is going to be, make sure that you listen to the past episode. However, if you've already listened to that, I'm going to jump right into it this week by talking about one very specific form of seller appointment generation. And like I mentioned, every week moving forward, I'm going to do a different topic. Now, the objective for you, like I said, listen to all of these different ways that you can generate seller appointments. Pick one, get really good at it. Make a goal of how many seller appointments you want to generate in a week. By the way, generating one a week is okay. If you only generate one seller appointment per week, most agents who are listening to this are going to do more deals, that they're going to have more seller appointments than they're used to. And they're also going to do more investor deals, and they're going to have more listings. So with that being said, I am doing these topics in no particular order. And the first one that I'm going to talk about, again, there's no other reason other than randomness, is what we call using home valuation leads in order to get seller appointments. So I've got a lot to cover with that, and I'm going to jump right into it. So first and foremost, what is a home valuation lead? A home valuation lead uses the call to action, click here, something like this, click here to find out the value of your home. Now, you can do that. You can do it with mailers. You can do it with postcards. But in 2025, the most common way to generate home valuation leads is by using social media and by using pay-per-click. Okay. So when somebody goes onto Google and they type into Google, what is my home worth? What's the value of my home? A Google ad may pop up that you've paid for. Or when somebody's on their social media account, and let's use Facebook for example, they may see something that says, click here to find the value of their home. Now, regardless if they're on Google or they're on Facebook, they're going to click on those links, and it's going to take them first to a landing page that's going to ask them typically for their name, their phone number, and their email address. Okay. So that's how the leads are going to be captured. That is how you're going to get them. That's the most common way to do it in 2025. Like I said, you can, use the home valuation call to action in any of your marketing. You can send out mailers, you could make phone calls, you could door knock. But in general, in 2025, the most efficient and effective way and the most common way that people do it is on social media and on Google, or if you, by extension, even Bing. All right. So what are the pros of home valuation leads in order to generate seller opportunities? In my opinion, the biggest and best reason why you'd want to use a home valuation call to action and generate home valuation leads is because of the fact that it's one of the cheapest ways to generate a seller lead. And as I'm saying this out loud and quoting it, depending on the day, depending on the time of year, the cost per lead for these types of leads can be as low as like $10 and maybe as high as maybe $100. Again, it depends on what social media platform you're using, or Google. Google is typically a little bit higher. I know I'm getting into the weeds a little bit with this, but in general, if you know anything about generating seller leads, paying 10, 25, 15, $30 for a seller lead, that is about as low cost as you can get for a paid lead. Of course, you can generate, free leads through your SOI and through a lot of other methods. But if you're talking about paid home valuation leads, that's about as cheap as you can get. The other good thing about home valuation leads compared to some other types of leads is that you can focus them on any one specific geography. So, depending on where you are in the world right now when you're listening to this, I'm in Wakefield, Massachusetts. If my objective is to build a database of people that own homes in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and I want to really specifically dominate one area, either for listings or for fix and flips, I can be very targeted, and I can focus very specifically on one or two or three towns or communities or counties. And again, there are some forms of seller lead and appointment generation that are untargeted, where leads are going to come in from a variety of different areas. So keep that in mind, that if you're somebody who wants to focus very narrowly on one geographic area, you can focus that on home valuation leads. So let's talk about kind of the procedure for how you may work a home valuation lead, which will again lead into some of the pros and some of the cons. So you always have to think from a marketing purpose. Whenever you get a lead, like what is the person seeing? What is the seller seeing or the buyer seeing? What is their intent? What are they trying to do? So assuming that you're using home valuation leads from Google or from a social media platform, you have to think again that somebody saw an ad that basically said, click here to get the value of their home. Now, they're going to fill in their name, their email, their phone number. And ideally, if you've got things set up the right way, that contact information is going to come into a CRM. The CRM that we use, that we love, is called Follow Up Boss. You can use any CRM that works for you. But in my opinion, especially with home valuation leads, it is very important to use a CRM. The reason being is that home valuation leads, while they're inexpensive, they're not super high quality in general because of the reason that the person opted in the first place. When somebody, and this is one of the cons, obviously, of home valuation leads, when somebody fills out a form that says, hey, click here to learn the value of their house, they're not saying anything about whether or not they'd be selling their home. They may have no interest in selling their home ever, or they may have no interest in selling their home in the next year or two, and it could be a very long-term nurture. So then why is it important to use a CRM for those types of leads? Especially with home valuation leads, you want to make sure that you've got automated text messages and automated emails that go off when that lead fills out a form for a prolonged period of time, because in reality, you really don't know whether the person's selling or whether they're even selling in a, anywhere near remote period of time. So let's just kind of like think about this logically and change the call to action a little bit. Let's say that the call to action on Google was sell my house fast, right? Somebody types that into Google and then they click on it and then they fill out the form. That's a completely different call to action. And that's a call to action that in general is going to get you a person that's probably far more serious about selling their house. Okay. And I don't want to get into too much about like the differences between the two, but in general, a home valuation lead, the intent of the person when they fill out a form is generally not that they want to sell their house fast or that they want somebody to come to their house ASAP. So, I mean, it does beg the question, like, why would you not just use, sell my house fast as the call to action always? If you're going to get somebody who's more motivated, the answer is the cost is going to be remarkably higher. So if you're running an ad, for example, just to compare and contrast, and it says, click here if you want to sell your house fast, you're not going to get too many leads, and those leads are going to be very expensive. Likely, they're going to be 20, 30, 40, 50 times what a home valuation lead is going to cost. That type of lead might cost you $500 or $600 compared to a home valuation lead, which might cost you $10. So again, when you're thinking about like generating seller appointments, generating leads, what makes sense for you, your business, your life? Do you want to pay a ton of money for one lead that has a high probability of wanting to meet right away? Or do you want a ton of leads that are in all variety of different, time frames where you're going to have to make more calls, but you're going to be building a database over the long haul? There is no right or wrong answer to that. It's just a matter of what you prefer, what your goals are, what your objectives are. But over the course of a period of time, if you're running home valuation ads, you're going to get quite a few leads in a specific area that over the course of time, if you're nurturing those leads the right way, should turn into listings and should turn into investment deals. Okay. So that person fills out that form online. It goes into the CRM. they're getting automations, they're getting emails, they're getting text messages, and of course, you're going to want to make phone calls too. So again, one of the probably most important parts of this entire series is for you to determine, hey, I want to generate 1 or 2 or 3 more seller appointments per week. Is this the method? Is this the strategy for me? So when it comes to home valuation leads, the first thing you need to think about is, do I want to spend money? Because this is a money spending, paid advertising way to generate leads. If you don't want to spend any money, then this is not going to work for you. It's not going to be the right call to action. It's not going to be the right way for you to generate more seller appointments. If you do want to spend money, then you've got to think, hey, do I want a bunch of local leads that have raised their hand, said that they want to know the value of their house? When I call them, they're most likely going to tell me that they're not selling. So a lot of my phone calls are going to be tailored more towards, when are you selling? Are you ever selling? What even got you to fill out that home valuation form? And of course, you probably helping them a little bit with their home valuation, right? Giving them better information than what, a Zestimate might give, right? So why did you want to know? Why didn't you just go on Zillow, right? That's more the conversation. And some of the times they won't know. They just, oh, I saw the ad. I thought it was like a Zillow thing. I just wanting an opinion, and that's really it. So again, home valuation leads, the pros are you're going to have a ton of them. They're not going to cost you a lot of money. It is paid marketing. You're going to have to nurture them over the long haul. And most of them are not going to be willing to meet. I would say, for every 10 of them that you get, every 10, 15, 20 of them that you get, you'll be lucky to meet with one person. So just kind of do the math there. Understand that most of the people are not going to be willing to meet with you right away. They're not ready to meet because they're not really doing anything with their property. And it is a really good and effective way to do this long term. So let's say that you say, well, I like the sounds of that. I don't mind making some phone calls. I don't mind setting up a CRM, having some automations. I do want to build a database of a specific area over the course of time. Well, how do you do it? And there's 2 ways to do home valuation leads. The first is to figure out how to generate these ads on your own. So you can obviously go into Facebook. You can, go into Instagram. You can run your own Google ads on your own, which some people will be hearing this and say, yeah, I know how to do that. I'm really good at tech. I know how to run ads. I've done that before. But most of you probably won't. Most of you will probably say, geez, I've never done that before. I don't know how that would work. So for most people, what ends up happening is that you end up using a service to do it. Now, there are a bunch of them. I'm just going to name 2 of them, and you can do your own research. If you are going to go down this rabbit hole, you are going to look into this, you want to look at 3, 4, 5 providers, compare the cost per lead, compare like their monthly costs, and pick which one is going to be the best for you. So the 2 that we've used, number 1 is Bold Leads, and number 2 is Listings to Leads. So both of those have the ability to do home valuation leads. Again, you can look into the cost on your own. Both of them have monthly management fees. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time comparing or contrasting because that's not really what this series is about. This series is more about explaining to you a variety of different ways to generate seller appointments, and then for you to determine which one of these do I want to spend more time on. But just know, for the purposes of this recording, that there are companies that will basically do all the work for you. Obviously, it's a little bit more expensive, and then there are and then there are ways to do this, on your own. One other good thing about home valuation leads in general is that there's not usually a big commitment to trying this. So, again, depending on the type of advertising that you're doing, depending on how you're spending your money, your time, you don't have to make a big commitment. You don't have to do this for 6 or 8 or 10 months. You can do this for a month. You can do this for 2 months and try it. See how you like it. See how you do with it. Which again, compared to some of the other ways where you have to make kind of a bigger commitment. So overall for me, again, this is one way to kind of do it. Again, we've definitely bought a bunch of houses from this. We've gone on a bunch of seller appointments from home valuation leads. And, again, the biggest negative, in my opinion, is that you're going to have to put in a lot of work to get an appointment. That's probably the biggest negative compared to some of the other methods that are out there. It is not something that you're going to pay a couple bucks. Hey, it's $10 a lead. So therefore, every person I call or text is going to want to meet with me. It's quite the opposite. It is a lot more effective and efficient than cold calling because these are actual people who have told you that they want information, that they want, something from you. So they've opted in compared to just calling people cold and hoping you have the right phone number or the right email. But you are still, based on the intent of the person filling out the form, they're still not telling you like, hey, they're not saying, I want you to call me to come out to my house, to make an offer on my house or to come list my house. Okay. So that's at a high level, home valuation leads. And again, every week I'm going to cover a different source so for you guys to digest. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the whole premise of all of this is to change your business. You guys are all agents. In general, by default, agents work more with buyers than sellers. The negative to that is that you're always running around with people who may buy, they may not buy. If you've been an agent for long enough, I can guarantee you that you've worked with buyers for a long period of time that just turn around and said, yeah, I'm not buying anymore. I'm going to go back to renting. Or I can think of, when I used to work with buyers in the beginning, I remember I worked with one of my friends for over 2 years. Then all of a sudden I see him and he's kind of like looking at me like almost scared to talk to me. I found out that he bought a house through somebody else. Why? I still don't know to this day. He's still a friend, but we all know kind of the perils of working with buyers, especially in this market where there's really no inventory. We want to focus our efforts on sellers because sellers listings are more scalable. Listings will give us more investment deals. The investment deals will throw off big chunks of income that we can then use to invest in long-term passive assets. The goal here isn't to run around like most salespeople run around like a chicken with their head cut off, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And then at the end of the year, have really nothing to show for it. And then on January 1st of the next year, you're starting with nothing again. Okay. There's a reason why the agent investor model works. The best thing about the agent investor model is that by you shifting your business towards sellers more than buyers, that's something that you should have been doing anyways. We all know that, right? And you're not taking a bunch of extra time to do it. You're focusing more on sellers than on buyers. We're not recommending that you stop working with buyers, but that you stop focusing on buyers. Don't buy Zillow leads anymore. Don't buy realtor leads anymore. Don't, focus on working open houses. Focus on getting these seller appointments. Listen to the different strategies that I give to you guys over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Pick one that works for you and start doing it. And you don't need to spend hours a day on a seller lead generation strategy. You can do it in an hour a day. And there's nobody who's listening to this that can tell me that they don't have an hour a day. You have an hour a day. Do an hour a day to start 5 days a week, whatever method you end up picking, and do it and get one appointment a week. Start by getting one appointment a week and then go from there. So I know that this was an abbreviated podcast today. For those of you who are, again, interested in learning more about partnering with us, and again, for those of you who want to focus on the seller portion of their business, the listing portion of their business, and are interested in getting appointments that are set by us, by our team, make sure that you register for my next call at www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. I've got a seller team that I give, and I guarantee one seller appointment per week for everybody that's in the group. This is a way to make your listing business almost automatic. So if you decide and you're going to join my seller team, and then you're going to self-generate a seller appointment per week, you could be going on 2 seller appointments per week. Think about the way that would change your business, that would change your life. Again, to learn more about that, just go to www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. I'll be back next week with another topic on how to generate seller appointments. If you guys need anything in the meantime, make sure that you friend request and follow me on Facebook at Tommy Caffarella. Not Tom, but Tommy, Tommy. Follow me, shoot me a message on Facebook, and we'll go from there. Thanks for tuning in, and let's generate some